Welcome back to another chapter of Message Crawler Video Manual. Today we're going to be talking about RSMF validation. Now it is important to validate your RSMF files either during export or after they have been exported. The reason for that is RSMF is fairly complex file structure. It is much more complex than simple DAT file or LFP or OPT. In fact, a lot of programmers struggle creating that just exact JSON format that's required for RSMF files. So Relativity provides a validation algorithm or DLL that you can run your RSMF file through and check to make sure it complies with requirements that Relativity has for RSMF file. Now the other issue you may have, even if your RSMF file structure is correct, the data that's going into the file may be incorrect, and that could cause different problems. Most common issue though I see is documents are not in a chronological order. So your messages aren't sorted before being exported to RSMF file. And that throws off your conversation start and conversation end dates because they're taken from the first and the last message and they don't match to the messages inside the body of an RSMF. So when is data being validated? The current version of Message Crawler will automatically process and validate all RSMF files. So you don't actually have to do anything. If you're using updated version of Message Crawler, it does this validation process automatically. It's built in, it happens automatically. So when you click that export button, the files get generated and validated. Sometimes though, if file fails validation, it does not mean it's not going to work in Relativity. It may still work. However, the metadata fields start conversation and conversation may be incorrect. It is best to correct the problem and re-export the files. However, if you don't care about those fields, it's okay because messages will be resorted in Relativity in the viewer again. Now, if you already have RSMF files, which you have generated with older version of Message Crawler, or through some other ways, other tools have generated them, you can use Message Crawler to perform validation on those files after the fact and confirm whether they're good or they contain problems. So how do you validate data during export? Well, like we talked about, there is nothing you need to do. You can click on Show Error Log button after the export completes, and you will see that it says RSMF validation, okay. And if some files did not get validated correctly, you will get a pop-up error log, and it'll tell you, hey, there were errors, and it'll show you the error log and saying, please review the errors. And if you happen to close it, you can click on Show Error Log button, which will take you back to the error log, and you could look at the errors. Now, like we talked about, you can do validation after the export. So for that, you go to Miscellaneous Tools, RSMF Validator, and it's a standalone application where you specify a path where you have RSMF files, you run a scan, and you review your errors. And you will get this kind of screen where you will see what errors are present, and then you can read them and try to understand what they are. Now, these errors are generated by Relativity's module. They're not actually generated by me. So sometimes they may be a little cryptic, but if you kind of read them and try to understand what they mean, you usually will be able to make sense what they are. So let's do a demo and see how this RSMF validation works. Going to switch to Message Crawler. And as I said before, you don't have to do anything when you click on Generate Export. Your files will be automatically validated. You just need to click on Show Error Logs if you want to see and have some assurance that the files were in fact validated and okay. What we're going to do in this demo is we're going to go to Miscellaneous Tools, RSMF Validator, and we're going to validate some files that I have in a folder. These were exported prior, so I'm going to click on Scan RSMF, and this will scan a folder and show us if we have any errors. And as you can see here, it says Validate in RSMF, passed. And if we scroll through, we can see that we do have some errors. Now, this is a sort of a cryptic error, and I do understand some of them are a little bit difficult to understand. Unfortunately, that's how they come from Relativity's validation module. And so what this error states, and it's kind of cutting off the screen, but what this error states is that we have a participant who had left the channel when they in fact did not join the channel. I don't think it's a problem. I would treat this more as a warning, not necessarily an error. The reason for that, you will be splitting up your data by like weeks or days. And if you have a person who left the channel, didn't join during that day, well, it's okay. They probably joined the day before. So something like that is probably okay. Again, it's up to you to decide if you want to try to make sense of your errors or files. Maybe you want to group them into bigger conversations. Up to you. However, I would review all the errors and make sure everything here passed, or you are aware of any errors or, let's say, warnings that popped up. All right, that's it for this chapter of Message Crawler Video Manual. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next chapter of the video manual.